Inheritance 1, Argentina is looking toward to invest in renewable energy. The SASCO delays the default on their bonds in 2001 has made it extremely difficult for them to get access to international credit market. The second argument is that the country has only given special privileges to one renewable energy company known as Canessa for 185 megawatts, which is extremely small. It'll be, according to Bloomberg, the financing is a huge challenge because there was a limited number of financing lines within the country. Third argument is that U.S. is not investing in Argentina energy. In this quote, we enjoy national treatment for terrorists except for on alternative energy sectors. The fourth argument is that the Overseas Provisional Investment Corporation is the U.S. federal government's development and financial institution which provides private capital to solve for critical developmental challenges. And since Argentina's default began in 2000, OPEC has limited its loan guarantees to that country. The plan: U.S. federal government should provide $25 billion through the Overseas Private Investment Corporation for loan guarantees for wind energy projects in Argentina. U.S. federal government should provide $25 billion through the Overseas Private Investment Corporation for loan guarantees for wind energy projects in Argentina.
Can I get a copy of that text, please?
Yeah, can I do it afterwards? Or
Like
shall
after-
I read it?
I would really like a copy of the text.
I'll get it as soon as I can.
After you finish solvency.
After I finish solving. Solvency normally needs these loan guarantees go to corporations in the country. OPEC usually gives loan guarantees to countries situated within the countries of origin. The second argument is that $25 billion is the amount they are looking for. The delay is that the YPF, which is an energy analyst in Argentina, said that the input of $25 billion would be sufficient to fund all renewable energy projects in the region. The third argument is OPEC has effectively the delay it's operated on a self-sufficiency basis and known as cost to American taxpayers because its loan guarantees low because it has supported investment opportunities in 4,000 different projects and $200 billion total. And total in many different countries. The little C is that OPEC has provided $10 million in loan guarantees for Olive Grove and oil processing facility in San Juan, Argentina, which indicates that and it has been financially solved for years. Give them the choice. Advantage 1 is energy. Unique to what Argentina is facing an energy crunch, and the SASCO delay is historical. The first argument is historical delay is that after the resets, the bonds were stabilized in 2002. The Argentinian energy demand grew quickly, but extraction and transport of natural gas does not match the surge, which has created a crisis. Second argument is oil output. Crude production has fell 5.9% last year, even though power demand rose 5.1% a little bit between 2007 and 2010. The critical reserves of crude oil, the reserves of crude oil and natural gas fell 15% and 31% respectively. Third argument, demand delay. They have decreased the amount of natural gas reserves, which is decrease.
While you're stopping, could you write a legible copy of the plan text?
Sean is trying to do that for you. So.
But that means that Josh can't flow, so I would like it if maybe you could get one.
Okay, could you stop, please? Thank you. Fourth argument. The fourth argument is that they have failed to actually have sufficient energy in crunch in the SASCO. They now use more than 15%. They use 15% more hydrocarbons than they are actually producing. The fifth argument is there's a limited amount of renewable production in the SASCO. Delay is that all renewable energy only accounts for 2% of total energy production, despite governmental efforts to actually to seek out a mandate for utility companies to switch to alternative energies. They are trying to get to 16% by 2020, but they are filing way short. Little b is that this is correlated to oil prices. Oil is relatively cheap. It's 4 times the cost because of startup costs. The links the plan solves what it provides the necessary incentives for private investors to move into a growing industry with full energy demand. Delay is the combined of funds of wind costs. Wind cost is the combined. This is extremely important because there was a 9 meters per second average wind speed, which is extremely high. Little b Argentina is abundant in unexploited resources in the southern area. The capacity factors are well in excess of 45%, which would make them better than gas and oil. But it's a question of startup costs. Second argument, which loan guarantees provide, and solve for the second argument, they have necessary infrastructure but need to be financing. According to renewable energy world, the current transportation infrastructure is insufficient to actually supply the country with a successful oil. But the wind projects would be able to solve. Third argument, the plan makes energy transactions financially possible. The average borrowing cost is almost 11%, which is a double of 4.8% of the average energy markets, which means it's far better. Fourth argument, plan causes spillover. This follows up on rhetoric of leaders who are trying to switch over to renewable and the scolding impacts of Argentina energy crisis. One that causes the country to implode. The delay is that the Delaware in the last economic recession declared a state of emergency. The police had to be deployed all across the country because of riots, which means there was a high chance of destabilization within the region that could lead to civil war and massive death. The second argument is the second impact is poverty. Poverty decreased massively increased during the last energy crisis. 54% of the country was in on-income poverty because of the increased prices of the energy. This massively increased the wealth divide, which creates a cyclical population that is ignored within the SQO. Advantage 1 is China. Advantage 2 is China. Is China is investing in Argentina, China-Argentinian cooperation is coming now. The first argument is the energy. The latest, the China Sky Solar Holdings built 20 megawatt solar power within San Juan for $70 million. Will be according to the head of state-owned energy firm. With Argentina can't get financing from Europe or the United States. This gives China unique exclusivity tools. Second argument is it gives nuclear. They are giving nuclear like China and Argentina signed 2 agreements covering operations and technical assurances for 2012 cooperation. According to China is trying to create for the 4th nuclear power plant. The 5th argument is diplomatic ties. The president. Kirchner, the premier, met with Premier Wen Chao I can't pronounce the name, and said that they were going to try to create an Argentina 2020 development plan. The 4th argument is probability with the relations in Argentina. They've been highlighting this as a necessary area for Chinese economic expansion. The length of plan solves one-China relations are going to be necessarily zero-sum. They perceive this as such, which means that if the U.S. goes into the region, it's seen as a crowding out their investment. The little b is that Bloomberg agrees with us. The PLA has said that it's willing to try to economically counterbalance the areas in the region, which means they view it as a contest. Second argument plan is restores credibility to U.S. Argentinian relations. The plan provides willingness for credibility and financing, which reverses the perception of previous court rulings where the president of Argentina literally called us vultures because we were requiring them to pay back loans from trade firms. Also, the U.S. is a major trading asset and returns to the mechanism which allows for strong relations. The argument plan approaches replacing the need for Chinese development by providing alternative U.S. development, which means that there's not going to be need for China nuclear. The internal China incursion increases miscalculation accidents and probability of conflict. One is practical where China has been supporting Argentinian claims to the Falkland Islands. They say this is likely because they want the Argentinian return to say that its claims to Taiwan are legitimate. EU and UK have not backed down, which means escalation is very likely only the only scenario for war within the region because there was war in the 1980s, and this is going to draw if they back up because China's going to be militarily backing up. The UK has released a statement that they're not going to allow Argentina to move into the region, and Argentina said that it's not for them to decide a nationalist in the country, specifically speaking out, which means there's a high likelihood causes include war and extinction, industrial fires. China would use counter-valley strikes, which create industrial fires carried around by trade winds. And the Southern Star countries, there's a high likelihood of proxy conflicts. They are already selling weapons to Argentina, and nuclear technology is dual use, which means the U.S. would have either counterbalance with providing weapons, which creates Vietnam's and millions of deaths.
Which order?
It is 3 off. And then the case debate? Yeah.
Is one of them okay? I feel
Absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah, why did I accept them to run a cake? Gosh.
The case debate goes China and then crunch.
Do you want to go solvency at all?
No. All right. Judges. First, the county is using the inherency argument that the United States is not investing in Argentina right now after their $95 billion debt fall. Additionally, this is combated by the fact that a U.S. Court of Appeals indicated that they would have to have a new proposal to pay back the United States by March 26 means independently there is already perception the United States will not increase investment after the debt deal is already issued on the court. The beast one plan and increase massive investment in Argentina, indicating use of $25 billion specifically within loan guarantees through new types of operating agencies. His point is this independent collapse of the United States economy. 5 reasons. The first argument is that's unprecedented new types of investment. This would be new types of steps to collapse the United States consumer confidence. It is perceived by the public as gambling new types of pensions, specifically the United States federal government facing a recession after the Quest remains independently looks like it's decreasing new type of fiscal authority. Additionally, the money given to the development bank independently looks like the United States is not going to be able to control any of its monetary assets in the future, which means that it looks like the appellate court is not being able to maintain new types of fiscal austerity. The second argument is the U.S. bond flight would happen immediately after the plan. This would collapse the United States dollar because it would perceptually look at the same thing if the United States massively invested in Greece right now, which is why they perceive it as being comparatively too fragile. A collapse of the United States dollar creating new types of protectionism means no other country will cooperate unless we collapse free trade and penalty adversity economy. The third argument is you've got the physical capital flight. This has been empirically proven. Whenever the United States offered loan guarantees for the development of nuclear power, there was a massive recession created after the incident, which caused the president to be able to cancel the program. Additionally, this means that business would invest in the United States because they indicated that this is not long-term, and they can't have long-term predictions about the United States federal government action because it's not maintaining the type of fiscal discipline, which means that other businesses would be perceived to be able to outcompete, i.e. that says that energy companies within Argentina would be able to outcompete the United States. The fourth argument is this perception of approval and never having to pay them back, which means that it looks like the United States federal government has the approval that Argentina never has to pay back its debt to the United States investors, which causes a massive investor freak out because they lost over $95 billion. The fifth argument is a new type of international scrutiny because they would decrease the type of trade. The global financial community is authorizing Argentina right now to be able to normalize relations. They have not done that, which means the plan is a combination of understanding that they never have to normalize trade relations. The other countries' backlash against the United States. These points economic collapse leads to receiving the first argument is new types of war. You can extend their asymmetric tactics in the world with the absolute resources means that there's potentially lead to nuclear war. That causes extinction. You can see that the next argument is like a disease spread. The United States would not have the ability to focus on new types of ability diseases or the vaccine storage means independently there's a new type of disease mutation that happens faster and humans can adapt to. The fourth argument is the United States famine means independently $2.6 billion who rely on $1 a day are devastated in a world in which the United States economy collapses and thus the unconditional counterplay text. The People's Republic of China should provide $25 billion in loan guarantees to win energy production in Argentina again. The People's Republic of China should provide $25 billion in loan guarantees to win energy production in Argentina. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what recession was caused by investing in nuclear power?
There was actually a massive there was an energy bubble that caused a credit crunch. There was massive investment all at once. The president had to halt that program because it was fictitious wealth and they weren't getting enough paybacks because there was massive cost overlays. Counterplan. First argument is competition calculated competes to net benefits avoids the United States in action. The second argument is solvency arguments. The first argument is China solves best. They have competitive domestic infrastructure. The first argument is plans to develop renewable in Argentina. That's right. You can send their inherent CR, their unique arguments on. They manage to be able to increase the types of decrease pollution industry. They have more energy diversification than the United States. They are competing in all of the areas specifically. The wind global outpace is 25%. China has 65%. The solar outpace is 44%. Where China has 15%. Hydropower has increased 206,000 megawatts, which is outpacing the entirety of the world. And additionally, they are cooperating with Argentina biofuels. The National Energy Bureau indicated that their new 5-year program means indicated they are increasing more funding than any of the rest of the world in Argentina. The cease one is Argentina prefers China because of the cost. They are arguing as right now they are about to get the largest wind project that has ever been created within the world, which means that they are already cooperating with China as of right now. But additionally, they perceive it as less expensive because they understand that the loan arrangements are already occurred and there is previous cooperation because they don't have to rely on the failures of the Inter-American Bank, which means that they have an incentive to be able to prefer China and the conversion rates is in their favor because they get comparatively more cost competitive trade-off after the United States after the United States devolution. The cease one is cooperation is a myth. China perceives relations as zero sum. Your own arguments on the advantage preempt that, which means that there's no attempt at a permutation of working together. Additionally, that benefits Xi Jinping. The next one is the unique circumstance Xi Jinping is focusing on anti-graft reform policies as of right now. The first proposal that is proposed in the annual full session of Parliament means independently that this is the first thing he's getting to. Additionally, he is focusing on corruption as of right now. He indicated that corruption would threaten the survival of the overall CCP. Additionally, the beast one is cooperation with the United States makes Xi Jinping look weak. These types of graft reform will continue the ideal within China that elites continue to line their pockets while not focusing on the rule divide that goes on the everyday. Additionally, this means they're not focusing on the rule PLA that is backlashing in the status quo. Means independently there's a new type of nationalist uprising that you are not able to account for. The cease one graft reform is absolutely critical to political stability. The first argument is the massive amount of race that occurs within China specifically causes the collapse of the CCP. Part of stability only happens as a result of new type of corruption, as indicated by Xi Jinping himself. Additionally, this means the public new types of anger and the PLA frustration, fractionalization happens as a result. Additionally, they're on the brink as right now because Xi Jinping just passed a policy that said the PLA can no longer bid strength, which means they are already opposed to new type of reform policies. There is a triad cooperation for the new type of way that he will relate to the PLA in the future. The decent one is really a regime instability turns the entirety of the affirmative. The first argument just means a decline in new type of China domestic infrastructure. They would no longer invest in their alternative energies, which is outpacing the entirety of the world. Turns the argument about focusing on the environment. The second argument is they would not be able to focus on new types of international treaties. They wouldn't be able to solve back for any of the arguments. That's why China is committing to a revision of the Kyoto Protocol, specifically be able to compensate lower income nations for new types of over income nations to be able to solve back for global economy. The third argument is new types of miscalculated war happen in the world, which regime instability increases if the PLA actually increases national backlash. This is the only scenario for your advantage to actually have in China. The first argument is turn the plan looks like encroachment of the United States federal government, specifically in a world in which China is already investing heavily within the Argentine economy, specifically because they just approved the largest wind project in the world that has ever been allocated. Estimated $35 billion means independently there's a new type of national backlash that goes on in China. Additionally, arguments is Argentina is preferring China as right now. If it is true that they perceive the relations zero sum and the United States not investing as right now, the list of the link only goes in one direction. Additionally, this is apparently proven to escalate new types of hotspots of conflict. Cooperation via the United States and China actually leads to a race to the bottom of new type of development. That is proven in Africa, where the competition privatization over education policies actually led to a terminalization of never actually building any education reform buildings, which means that they only compete with themselves and never actually saw back for any of the counterbalancing of the United States. Additionally, your arguments about China miscalculations are absolutely not needed. China is investing within the sphere of influence as of right now. Wind, solar, and biopower, not biopower, biofuels are already investing within Argentina as right now, outpacing the United States economy. The United States not investing means independently that they have already established that sphere of influence. Additionally, that miscalculation is absolutely inevitable. The United States has already ceded to oil contracts within the Falklands because the UK referendum that is coming up next month, which means that independently it doesn't look like the United States has an incentive in that region. The miscalculated war would never go out of hand because China already has security of that influence. Additionally, it is true that OPEC is cooperating as right now. That is only a net benefit to the counterplay because independently China has more influence in OPEC than does the United States, considering there's already perception the United States is trying to wean away. China would have to barely more influence about the way that industry continues to develop. Additionally, next argument is there's too many alternative causalities to them preferring China, to preferring the United States. The first argument is the appellate court decision to be able to force Argentina to pay back $1.3 billion means that they don't want to cooperate with the United States on new types of academic development. The second argument is Argentina seized the United States Air Force equipment in 2011. They are still holding that in a WTO dispute means independently they would never have cooperation with the United States. The third argument is the Iran cooperation agreement that Argentina just signed means that the United States wouldn't risk investing because it fears Israel backlash. The next argument is trade disputes going on at the WTO as of right now over the United States subsidies, specifically inflating the cost of corn going in with Argentina means independently they don't have an incentive to cooperate with the United States until after the disputes are resolved. The fifth argument is the United States-Brazil relations always overriding the Argentina relations, understanding the way that cooperation on deforestation occurs by not equilaterally means that Argentina always has an incentive to prefer a multilateral gesture rather than just unilateral gestures by the United States. Additionally, the piece one is this puts them a double line. Either there are too many barriers to the United States developing new type of relations, or it proves that other issues can always combat relations. Means United States relations are absolutely inevitable. That only causes a scenario of risk and miscalculation with China. Additionally, energy. No worse than why the United States is critical. In fact, the United States is perceived as massively corrupt. Whenever the United States cooperated with the Inter-American Development Bank in Argentina, they had an $80 million project to be able to create new types of jobs, but it largely failed and only increased recession in Argentina because it artificially inflated their inflation without combating new types of structures to be able to seed that. So their money got too valuable, but not actually hard economics.
Was the word you used draft reform?
Graft.
Graft.
Yeah, like corruption.
Alright, the order is going to be advantage 1, advantage 2. The counterplan, the economy Xi Jinping counterplan, you want a new Xi.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
So it's advantage 1, advantage 2. The PRC counterplan was a new sheet on the bottom, economy Xi Jinping.
Okay, I flagged the net benefit on a separate sheet of paper.
Yeah.
So.
Xi Jinping is a net benefit.
Okay, yeah. Are you doing that after the counterplan?
I'm doing that after the counterplan econ. Yeah.
Okay, and where's the new sheet of paper
What?
in that?
The new sheet of paper is after the counterplan, so before econ.
Before the economy.
Can I get that one more time real quick?
Yeah, advantage 1, advantage 2,
Okay.
the PRC stuff, then there's economy Xi Jinping.
Not bad.
I know. We had to compensate for Taiwanese failures. Alright, ready? Energy extend the entirety of the advantage, also extend the length that we have the infrastructure. Number one is that we create the necessary incentive. China does not have the same kind of investment company in Argentina. They're making arguments that China is investing in the status quo, but they also invest in our infrastructure, which means it's not in the form of loan guarantees or in alternative energy indicated in the United States is the only United States' ability to do this. You say United States caused recession, not in this case. Also, all of these were direct investment that like things that China is doing, which indicates that loan guarantees are able to solve for this counterplan status. So China first extend the entirety of advantage. Now you need all of your China argument. China is lashing out in status quo. The way that they're lashing out is trying to extend relations with Latin American countries as well as African countries, which indicates that your hotspots argument is not unique. Also, you say we're encroaching on their territory. Number one is that they are just starting to invest in Argentina, which indicates that we're going to be slapping them down before they get stuff off the road. But additionally, encroachment is not unique. It's only a question of whether or not we can crowd out China, which indicates that we have to link to this question. You say China perceive Argentina as zero-sum. That is the point, guys. You say China miscalculation inevitable because they're investing. It's not a reason why miscalculation in Argentina is inevitable. We have arguments why if China puts more relations, they're going to export arms and nuclear weapons that are dual use. You don't have any specific arguments on why they're giving dual use to other countries just because they're investing in clean energy, their own quote sphere of influence, probably in China or somewhere in Mongolia. It's not mean that there's going to be any kind of problem in Falklands. You say United States ceded claims to oil in Falklands, not a response to whether or not Argentina will lash out with the dual-use nuclear weapons or with Chinese weapons. Also, England, even if they're ceding oil claims, not a reason why. It's not a reason why they're not going to lash out in the case of Argentina attack when Argentina is emboldened. You say Chinese influence OPEC. No, United States obviously is more influence OPEC, but traditionally China does not have influence OPEC. That's why they're trying to develop oil relations between ventures in places that are not controlled by OPEC and OPEC. Additionally, this just provides this brink scenario. China is trying to increase their cost to the rest of the world. Have to slap them on every single instance. You say. Now extend order for links that so back all of your claims. You say alternative causality sec appellate court. However, you have considered argument that OPEC still is operating in the region, which indicates we have the unique ability to crowd out China. But additionally, just because there are some courts problems, is not a reason why we can't have economic relations, because it's not normalized. And this will proceed a positive step in normalizing economic relations, which means we're able to solve for this. You say Iran cooperation does not deal with whether or not China is crowding out the United States and Argentina. You say you say things like trade substitutes also does not answer whether or not Argentina perceives United States as a superior partner. You say Brazil relations crowds out. Oh God, Brazil totally cares about Falkland Island. You say the double bind. You say it puts us on double bind because the double bind either spares. No, our argument is that our argument is that we are able to overcome the barriers to the OPEC, which is the number one investment arm operating in the region that is able to combat miscalculation to China or shift elsewhere. You have not identified miscalculation scenario anywhere else, which indicates that we have the access to proxy wars.
The double bind is that other issues are going to overcome. Those issues aren't specific to Argentina, which is
also those other issues are not specific to Argentina, which means that we have access to scenario.
You say Chinese security means that UK won't get involved. They will not give up the Falklands.
Yeah. You say that Chinese security means they won't get involved. They will not give up the Falklands. Yes. What is your question?
Yeah. If OPEC is able to overcome all these other issues, why didn't they? OPEC has existed before the WTO.
Because they don't have money from the federal government.
The first argument is permutation to both. You say cooperation is problematic. However, our argument is that both sides can invest even if they're competing in the status quo. Also, are united to solve for this because all of the infrastructure are based all of the Chinese investment based on infrastructure. Also, there's also $25 billion to wind energy projects, literally giving the money, which means to incentivize bad projects. And loan guarantees, on the other hand, are incentivizes the private sector to develop actual efficient economies, which means you have a solvency deficit for the energy. The new sheet of paper is the Chinese central bank. First, is unique. This Chinese central bank in National People's Congress, Congress elected a new chairman. He was given re-elected their old chairman. He was given the task of stabilizing the financial sector in relation to the real estate sector. Number two is that he has specifically stated that that's going to be number one job, and that is the first thing that he's going to do in the office. And investors are elated because of this, and that's why we saw recovery in the Chinese real estate sector. Technical links. This will be a massive shift in Chinese strategy. Number one is still perceived as focused on foreign investment on foreign energy, and not additionally. The second is that this will be a massive increase in monetary policy, which indicates that this is turning away from the Chinese strategy of contraction in monetary policy, causes investor freak out in China. That caused real estate collapse. Real estate is 25% of Chinese GDP, means that China is not going to be able to withstand this. Causes massive economic collapse. Turns back all of your arguments because Chinese economy is the United States economy. Turns back your economy disadvantage. Also causes independent miscalculation because causes PLA emboldenment PLA will have a rally around the flag effect and slap down softliners, indicating that they will have miscalculation in the Senkaku Islands. Also, we obviously don't link it to this, right? So don't make the GOMR arguments. Economy. First, the economy is low in the status quo. First, the jobs are stagnant, and job all looks extremely negative. People, twice as many people in the United States, I think 36.2% of the people think that the job prospects are going to be lower in the next year. Additionally, the holiday spending, only rose by 0.7%, whereas normally it was 3.4%, which indicates that the consumer confidence is low in the status quo. Links zero risk. These kinds of links have. Number one, Argentina is one small. So we increase investments elsewhere. Also, there's other spending items on on foreign policy like foreign aid to Israel or Egypt, which indicates it's not a question of whether or not we spend, it's a question of where we spend it. Additionally, this is not going to be perceived as spending because it's loan guarantee. Loan guarantee is not kicking unless someone defaults on their debt, which defaults on their also OPEC. OPEC is controlled by the United States, which means noting to your second link. Also, there's not going to be investor flight in the world. We are restoring trade relations with Argentina. There were many investors who criticized the United States for decreasing trade relations with the United States. This will allay their fears. Also, it's not going to be capital flight because it's not going to be perceived as Argentinian companies all competing with the United States, but rather United States technology benefiting from the market of Argentina, which means that there will be an increase. There's going to be an increase in business confidence. Going to internal links, economy is resilient. We have had several United States economies resilient because we have things like monetary policy and fiscal policy able to check back for these kinds of impacts. Also, United States economy spread does not spread internationally because other countries have other mechanisms they can get things from other markets. Additionally, there's not going to lead to disease spread because NIH will always exist, and time frame is really extremely long. Xi Jinping, oh God. Really, all of the cuts that are happening to PLA is actually specifically proposed by General Liu, who was the grandson of the second president of the United grandson, which indicates that Xi is acting in line with the PLA. Additionally, Xi is totally in control of the PLA. He appointed many of his family members to close associates, the top defense cabinet, indicating that Xi is completely controlling the status quo. Also, 0% for PLA to backlash because PLA, specifically the MPC, supported Xi's vision of China dream, which indicates that he is there in line with China. Also, zero risk of PLA. Zero risk of PLA backlash causes instability. Number one is there'll be more focus on internal problems. 1989 proves when there was internal instability, PLA was all pulled back to Beijing and Shanghai and other key cities, which indicates they're not going to lash out. The only way that they lash out is they're right around the flag effect, which means they will not get support from the hardliners. Also, there's not going to be unless there's economic collapse because PLA has too much to lose.
Okay. It will be advantage 1 energy crunch, advantage 2 China, our econ disset, their China central bank disset, the counterplan, and then the Xi Jinping benefit.
Okay, so sorry, it's advantage 1 energy, China.
No. After advantage 2 is our econ disset.
Yeah.
Then your China central bank argument,
Okay.
the China counterplan, and then our Xi Jinping benefit. Everyone ready? If I ever become clear, my voice hurts, so let me know. Their only argument here is that they have infrastructure. However, we've already, one of the reasons why we solved that argument, the first that China's already massively investing, and we also have uniqueness arguments as to why we're actually predictive of the future, indicating that they already built things like bridges and wind energy and a status quo. You also concede the argument that even if the United States' infrastructure is not effective because it's seen as massively corrupt, our historical examples devastating on this question indicate the last time we tried to do this, we massively increased inflation. Even if it's not a reason why the plan will lead that, it's a reason why the perception of the plan would mean they say no to your argument, a reason why they prefer China more. Also, you have conceded the argument that we already did biofuels and the status quo, indicating that there has to be massive infrastructure. It's also not unique to only dissent to this argument because if it's true that we already have infrastructure, not a reason why they would backlash against us. You say that direct money is bad. Our argument is not in the context of China. Direct money by the United States might have been bad. However, your loan guarantees arguments don't solve this because the United States is still seen as corrupt. Just because you guarantee the debt, it only means that the United States is perceived as trying to hamstring them with more debt in the future. A reason why they lash out against them. Go to advantage 2. You concede too many arguments to go for this. Instead, you've already conceded the uniqueness question, which is that China's already invested vastly in the status quo. We also have predictive evidence in the future indicating that they want to be able to have to pursue this energy and status quo because they see it's tied to national security. Remember that China's currently having pollution problems means there's an incentive for them to have to be able to lead to renewables. You say China's lashing out now. I say that this is a lie. They're not lashing out. They're leading to investment. If your dual tech argument was true, it would have been triggered by our massive arguments about things, about reasons why our Iran scenario, which meant that they would have given to them already no unique free argument. You say that the United States would stop our arguments and that unique this argument. Argentina would be able to backlash against the United States because they would perceive that if the U.S. and China were working together, then their land would be rampant with competition. The historical example of our race to the bottom argument indicates that's its impact to any permutation. They say China relations equals arms. Arguments that there's no uniqueness. This would have already
happened already because they have provided things like energy and bridges. Moreover, the plan is worse. You concede the argument that the only world in which China actually has to defer to going against arms in a world where they perceive the United States competition because that triggers the scenario where they feel like there's controlment. You've also conceded the argument why miscalculation is inevitable. You don't handle our Falklands evidence pretty good. In any case, in the world the United States goes in, it's perceived as if we're trying to interfere with their energy agreements that they have in the status quo, indicating that China would have to be able to try or die to police conflict. You say OPEC in the region solves not unique. I think Mike's POI is devastating on this question. If the OPEC existed there before, then they would have been able to solve this issue. However, since they haven't, it probably is the reason why our uniqueness arguments are true. The second argument here is also leads to a crowding out a world in which the United States investment means that Argentina has to backlash against that government. You've also conceded the Israel backlash argument. This is devastating. It's something that you can circle and start. Indicates in a world where the United States invests Israel, when backlash makes the United States looks weak. There's no risk that you're able to solve. In a world where the United States has to kowtow to Israel, leads to a massive miscalculation. Independent does not outweighs the entirety of affirmative because Israel is more likely to lash out on the time frame because they're crazy. You say LOL to argue this Brazil argument, not a proper argument. Arguments that Argentina hates Brazil. Thus, they would hate the United States involvement because they see it as in cahoots with another government that is not with them. You will say that other issues are not specific. Arguments are very specific. Try to make them lie on this argument, and the next speech, not a reason they're going to go for it.
They want to wait till after the WTO, and they want to wait till after the court.
Moreover, they want to wait till the WTO until after the court reaches the plan will be able to solve. Is that what you need, Mikey?
Yep.
All right, econ to say. We're going to concede several arguments here. The first is that the econ is already increasing the status quo. Jobs and decreased spending indicates that there's no impact here. China's relations argument. You will also extend across the reason why there's no global collapse because the United States economy is resilient. Indicates that even in a world where Chinese economy collapses, it wouldn't lead to anywhere because the United States will be able to be the safe harbor in that agreement. A reason why you will have no unique offense. Go to the China Central Bank now. Extend across our impact defense, U.S. economy is resilient, able to offer global trade. Moreover, you say that this will be perceived as foreign spending. No, what in China's is FDI. You've already conceded the uniqueness question that China's FDI is considered as being critical to developing nations' growth in the status quo, which means that they already have the perception. Also, our uniqueness means that this is absolutely lying. No warrant to why the FDI now would be uniquely from other things. Also, FDI would be able to solve for real estate because it's perceived as being able to solve for having a community of other people to come into China and increasing the population. Also, it's perceived as being able to solve for pollution because China is already trying to take action. Xi Jinping's direction after his leadership return means we're probably right. You need anything else?
That's fine.
Right.
Also, the fact that the United States economy can never collapse means China will always be propped up.
Yeah, and the fact that the U.S. economy's cannot collapse, as per their argument, means China will always be propped up because of interdependence.
And they undervalue the renminbi.
Yeah, and they undervalue the renminbi. China counterplan?
What was that last?
They undervalue the renminbi.
The what?
They see permutation still links to our Xi Jinping net benefit indicates in a world in which there's a permutation, you cause a massive form of competition between the United States and China. I think that this conceded case arguments really give us a good link here. Indicates in a world in which China is currently peacefully investing in things like energy production. While the United States steps in, that's when they start to use that dual technology arguments, which means you only provided to bring for a disad argument. Moreover, this outweighs and turns the entirety of any risk of permutation. You say that money is bad, not in the context of China. You've already conceded why they don't need loan guarantees because the infrastructure already exists, and that China is uniquely better for energy diversification. This energy diversification argument is a dissent to the permutation because in the world the United States is thought to invest, it will cause a monopoly, causes an asset bubble, collapses the economy of Argentina, means you're not able to solve anything for affirmative. You also conceded what we've been cooperating for the past 12 years on wind, which indicates there's no unique solvency deficit to this counterplan that is not answered by the status quo. You also concede the argument why you should prefer our arguments. We have money dissent to the permutation indicates that the China is seen as less expensive and that the conversion rate is more conducible in the world where you use the USD. It would cause for there to be a massive inflationary pressure on the Argentinian economy, means they can't actually go to renewable energy because you bankrupt them. You've also can extend across their argument relations are zero-sum. Reason why only in one of the permutation would China be prompted to backlash. You have no external benefit to why loan guarantees would be good. That we have an answer on the case to be not an impact there means it's devastating for counterplan solvency. You can extend across our argument why these loan guarantees will be perceived as corrupt, which means even if the logistical nature of the plan is good, the way in which it's perceived means there's a faster time frame to set to that argument. They would backlash against loan guarantees because they will look like United States imperialism. Moreover, across our Brazil argument, it will be seen as they're kowtowing to both regions, which means they will feel like they are the little one of the preferences, indicating that their policies would be devastating.
Also, loan guarantees are bad because it makes them forced to a specific timeline.
Yep. And loan guarantees about these points that leads to a specific timeline empirically proven. You can extend across Mike's scenario here indicates that the last time we chose to do this in the United States, it led to massive bankruptcy and failure because the companies were not able to start up as quickly as you're able to. Money is preferably better because they're able to just take that investment and they don't have the pressure of having to meet a certain deadline. That deadline is critical. Turns the entirety affirmative means that in the time frame differential, they would have to collapse because they know they wouldn't be able to do things like lead the maximum amount of energy in the status quo. It's the reason why you were not able to solve that argument. Xi Jinping did that.
This outweighs in turns the entirety of KC's place in the world, and where Xi Jinping feels like he has to backlash the United States to cause miscalculation and pressures. This is the only thing that will actually trigger this issue, because Xi Jinping is now trying to reform his party, indicates that any threat to that would mean that he has to revert to status quo in which he was be, release massive social stability. The second argument is probability. You've conceded the argument where you didn't answer the internal link why the public would backlash against Xi Jinping, because in a world where he is now seen as taking a step against graft reform, the public believes he's as corrupt as the other guy, causes massive social instability, causes and miscalculatory warfare faster than they can give a speech. Moreover, they say their cuts are coming down, that somehow they are close with the PLA. I'm going to group these arguments and call them baloney. You trying to make a laugh out of this dissent. However, you've conceded that you need this question that is predictive, indicating that corruption will have to be dealt with because he's already dealt in his inner circle. People who are trying to talk crap about him, meaning that he has to make it try or die for him to be able to maintain his stranglehold. Your other argument is that the PLA is perceived as supporting the China dream. However, this is an argument against you. If it is true that the PLA thinks that they have to support the China dream, that is an argument against the permutation, because the permutation will make it seem like Xi Jinping failed on that dream, because now the United States is crowding out their own investments in that region. It is a devastating argument against you. You say there will be no instability. However, you've conceded our internal link why is try or die. Public anger means the only risk is on this time frame differential, because the public is already rallying over whether or not there will be a nationalist fervor, which means the next couple months are key. Or also concede the argument why the regime will not be stable in the context of energy. You don't answer this argument. The public specifically sees energy independence as being critical to their survival and to the future in a world where you make it seem like the China economy collapsed by the U.S. To invest in that causes massive calculation. This dissent just literally outweighs you. There will become an energy crunch in a world where China does not become energy dependent, because it will lead to massive conflagration on the international scale. It will also lead to a miscalculatory conflict. You think this goes in our direction, you lead to bad stuff.
All right. It's an overview.
4 minutes.
Yeah. No.
I put it 8 minutes for some reason.
An overview. Then the case debate. Advantage 2, advantage 1 is the order. Then the econ debate. So it's our econ disad, followed by their central bank's disad. Counterplan and Xi Jinping.
Counterplans and the
That correct. Judges and Whitman.
Comrade.
Yep.
We're all ready.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Miss Potter. I'm sweaty.
What's you gonna say? All right. The ballots will read SIU wins. They have 4 reasons why Argentina says no to the United States, relies on the previous investment that it has with China, and the China counterplan independently allows for a new type of graft reform to continue within Chinese domestic politics. Able to solve back for graft reform means that they create party stability, come through on their energy commitments, and solve back the entirety of the affirmative. It's try or die for the counterplan. Now, advantage 2. First one I want to extend is the say no debate. We have 4 arguments independently why you don't solve back for any of your advantages. The first argument is the corruption argument. The empirical example is on the side of SIU. The fact that the United States cooperated on an $80 billion project via the Inter-America Bank Development Bank before, and it only increased massive foreign direct inflation, but that did not check back the amount of investment that Argentina can also couple, means that they actually perceive the United States as being a whack job or a Ben Bernanke on investment policy. They have an incentive to say no on new types of investment in the future, and they would not cooperate with the United States. The second argument is you have conceded they want to wait till after the WTO disputes are resolved, because it would make them look weak on giving it to international courts and probably make it look like they would always never be able to solve back for agricultural subsidies in the future. The third argument is you have conceded that they want to wait till after the development proposal has been proposed, i.e. the United States Appellate Court said you have to pay us back $1.8 billion and you have to have a proposal by March 26th. They don't have that proposal yet, which means that they are waiting to develop it before they give it to the United States, before
before just saying we will cooperate with you on all other issues. And the fourth argument is the argument that they are cooperating with Iran right now on new types of terrorist investigation means that they say no to the United States for fear of Israel backlash with them in the future. Additionally, this takes out the entirety of Advantage 1 and means Advantage 2 only goes in our favor. There is only a risk that if your argument is true, relations are perceived as zero-sum. 1, permutation, absolutely irrelevant. Cooperation is a myth, only encourages new types of conflict. 2, it means because China has the unique discretion, has been investing and will invest a new $25 billion project within the Argentinian economy, that any risk the United States increases only causes a miscalculated war over the Falklands. Additionally, OPEC is not a reason why you win this debate. OPEC existed before any of those disputes and obviously does not have diplomatic engagement, which means they say piss off to the United States in every other area. Econ. If the economy is collapsing now, as of right now, which you've indicated, the consumer confidence is decreasing and jobs are decreasing, that is a proof warrant as to why there is no internal link validity. That means the United States economy would never be able to collapse. That would be able to prop up the world economy. Central banks is a non-issue. Additionally, you can extend their U.S. economy resiliency argument. The fact that they say the United States would just be able to adopt new types of fiscal policy to deal with this means that even if Chinese economy would be able to start to dip, they would just adopt new policies to be able to continue a new type of decoupling theory, which means they probably prop up Chinese central banks comparatively more. Additionally, the fact that China relies on the United States investment and the dollar being strong means when the dollar gets stronger, China's economy gets stronger, which means if we did start to see an economic decline in the United States and instituted fiscal policy, that makes China go, oh yeah, because they get $16 for every $1 that the United States spends. Central banks. Not a diss that you can go for at the end of the debate. Your only argument is a miscalculated theory about Senkaku. We probably control the uniqueness on this question, which is to say that if China is investing in Argentina as of right now, then the new types of fears of influence that they have to be able to lash out on occur within areas like Senkaku. It doesn't have to be just within Argentina. We've never said that argument, which means that their sphere of influence is large. They would have a new type of incentive to go to war in other areas. Counterplan. Permutation links to the Xi Jinping that benefit. It makes them look weak on graph reform. Do not vote on the permutation. Additionally, any of your arguments about new types of loan guarantees, why those are essential, have already been answered and conceded. They have a bad time frame, and that's empirically proven via the nuclear development within the United States. It has massive budget overlays. They have to win 100% that wind projects would not go over budget. They have not made that argument, and you vote negative. Xi Jinping outweighs the permutation and causes the only left scenario in the debate for war.
Okay, well, the order is going to be the Chinese, China just said advantage 1, advantage 2, a counter plan, and then perhaps the China Central Bank.
Counter plan and what?
Or perhaps the China Central Bank just had the counter plan. I need that.
You have my bank keys.
Okay, we all ready?
The impact defense that we read is actually responsive to your internal link, which means that you do not have any unique offense in the rest of the debate because there was already going to be miscalculation of the Falkland Islands and the fact of dual-use technology within China. There was only a risk that we decreases and prevent extinction. Now, but the China just said they do not understand what our zero risk of PLA lash out argument it is. The way in which instability, it doesn't matter whether the source of instability is the PLA or the public, the way in which instability would translate into war is the military of China, aka the PLA would be lashing out against other countries and causing miscalculation. But you have conceded that there was zero risk in a world of instability, whether it is the PLA caused instability or public caused instability, that they would actually lash out. One, they would focus internally. They would pull back and towards Beijing because they would feel themselves as vulnerable, which means there's no risk of miscalculation. The second argument is that they would there was no risk of rallying around the flag effect. And the third argument.
All of these arguments about no miscalculation are not assumptive of the original MG argument. You only say PLA has too much to lose, and then your timer beeps. I think these are brand new arguments.
A couple arguments before that, they make the argument that the last time there was instability, that they pulled all of the government members back home from their.
So this is not an extension of the second.
And finally, that they would have too much to lose, but more importantly, internal pulling back means there was literally zero risk of miscalculation. Now, go to end. You do not have any offense in the debate. Now, go to Advantage One Energy. They make a couple of new arguments. One, that the loans are going to be one. They have not answered any argument with the MG why loan guarantees are not seen as corrupting. The reason why corruption is seen as via American funding is because it is seen as a tool to make you beholden upon the West. aka you give them money and you say that now they're indebted to you and then you must pay them back. Loan guarantees are entirely different. You say that if your project fails, then we are going to give you money when that project fails, and they even conceded the solvency arguments that we give empirically. OPIC gives this to internal companies within the region, which means it's not going to be seen as corruption. Second argument is the framing question that and the links argument on Advantage that this is empirically going to resolve previous questions because the court case was about the U.S. burdening people with U.S. loans, and this is going to be seen as an opposite approach because it's going to be loan guarantees, which means they do not have to pay us back. In fact, we only give, there's only a propensity that we give the money, which means it resolves the previous fears of U.S. corruption and instability. Also conceded that this would, on advantage to China, this would increase the propensity for trade in other areas. They say that OPEC was already involved in the region. That's on advantage. This is irrelevant. They are not involved sufficiently. They have only done projects for a single olive farm in San Juan. That's Sean's argument that it's not sufficient why it hasn't tripped the link, but it is a reason why they would say yes, because they don't feel OPEC is actually something that is corruption. They say this means that we solve, even if China solves better, we are still able to solve. This is not a benefit. We're not going for the specific impact. They say that the people are going to loan guarantees increase inflationary pressures. I don't think you understand what a loan guarantee is. It does not input money within the region. It just money within the region. There was no inflationary pressure whatsoever. You guarantee money if the program goes down the drain, and you say they'd be hamstring with more debt. No, there was no debt. Now go to the China advantage. This it's the mistake and the framing that wins us the debate. They have conceded that China's initial investment has been extremely minor, even though they are currently investing. They have just gotten to the region, which means why their backlash would not be trying to get further in Argentina, but to go into other places. We have conceded the thesis of their link turn that they would go into places like Africa and go into other places which they are not currently competing with the United States, but that these places would lead to miscalculation. This is why this is devastating, because those places do not have dual-use technology that would force the U.S. to engage in a proxy conflict. So even if they backlash in other areas, aka if Africa does not cause our internal link scenario to happen, and this is certainly inevitable, which means it's not an offense. You say that we have been working together with other companies. Already answered why this is not sufficient to trip our link argument. And now the question of why that the U.S. they need pollution control. This is not a reason why they would go back into Argentina where they barely have a foothold anyway. When they see it as a zero-sum game, that means the competition looks like it is up. They are not able to solve literally anything, and we win the debate. Now to go to the question of miscalculation of the Falklands. This is an extinction level impact. They say that Israel is going to backlash. There is not an impact to this argument coming out of the MG, and it is totally freaking laughable. Even if Israel backlashes, I don't know who they backlash against, and I don't know why that leads to extinction, which means you do not have to look across, especially when extinction is inevitable, because the only thing they say is there's a risk of backlash. Well, backlash is happening in the scroll, bros, because you do not extend your impact defense in. The MG conceded that UK is going to get involved in the region because they have security ties, and they have empirically gone to war with Argentina. The reason why it escalates this time is because China is also backing them, which forces the U.S. to get involved to protect the United Kingdom. Pauses the Indian nuclear war. They extend through the analysis of the WTO, and courts conceded that we would be able to overcome, and that we've empirically been able to have relations with countries that have WTO lawsuits. This is our Brazilian relations analysis, and that the courts are going to be solved because the reason why there was a previous court decision is because we were burdening them with debt. Now we're not burdening them with the debt. We're giving loan guarantees, which is literally giving the money that they never have to pay back. Now we're going to the accountability. The only thing I need to answer is whether this stuff is bad. You say a timeline analysis. This is absolutely not true. There was not a timeline to loan guarantees, and this is not a reason why it would lead to bankruptcy and failure. And empirically disproven 95% of U.S. loan guarantees nuclear power is successful. You say that there's no bottom deadline. And there's going to be an asset bubble that is equally true of a loan guarantee, which means this is not net offense, and it's only a reason why we wouldn't solve advantage one, which is that way by extinction anyways.